This is Stephen Hall, also known as Reiki Man, interviewing Lucia Maya, who's a Reiki master, a Karuna master, and also a Deeksha Oneness Blessing giver trainer. Can you tell us a little bit about primarily Deeksha?
Sure. So Deeksha came into my life about 3.5 years ago. When I received Deeksha, it's also called the Oneness Blessing, and when I received it for the very first time, it was from a dear friend of mine who's a wonderful teacher, spiritual teacher, and so when I first received it, I knew that I was going to become a Deeksha giver, a Oneness Blessing giver. It was a very strong message. And at that time, the only way to do that was to go to India, to go to the Oneness Temple, Oneness University, and there was a 21-day process at that time to become a blessing giver, which involved a lot of clearing. And so I went 3 weeks, no, about 2 months after I received Deeksha for the first time. And Deeksha has absolutely transformed my life in these last 3.5 years. Being a blessing giver, being able to give and receive Deeksha has been an amazing, amazing gift to me.
For the benefit of those who may not be familiar, can you tell us what is Deeksha?
Yes. Deeksha is another form of energy transfer, in a way similar to Reiki and yet quite distinct. To give or share Deeksha, we simply open ourselves as a channel for this divine energy to flow through us, flow through our hands, and we give it as a blessing. Generally it's done by placing one's hands on someone's head for just a minute or two, and they receive the blessing during that time. It can also be given through intent, which means from a distance, so that it can be shared with anyone, anywhere in the world.
Interesting. And what are some of the benefits of Deeksha?
Well, there are many, and I'll speak for myself because I can talk about my own experience. One of the greatest benefits that I have experienced has been a quieting of the mind. A lot of that mind chatter that could keep me looped for days or sometimes weeks, going round and round over one topic and thinking of all the things that I could have or should have done. That rarely happens anymore. I can't think of the last time that I got caught in one of those loops. So much quieter mind, much more ability just naturally to be in the present moment, to be exactly where I am in each moment and appreciating each moment. It's brought a lot more gratitude into my life. And the other thing that I've experienced and I've seen in many people who I see who receive Deeksha on a weekly basis is that although charges, emotional charges may still come up, generally now they last for minutes instead of what used to be hours or days. So I still may get angry or sad or jealous or whatever, but it dissipates often effortlessly in just a matter of minutes, and that's a huge gift.
It would be. And you're a trainer also. Can you talk to us a little bit about how the training is conducted?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, 3 years ago, we went to India to become blessing givers. Because this phenomenon is spreading so widely across the planet and more and more people want to become blessing givers, I was invited to go to India a second time. So I went this past February and became a oneness trainer. And what that means is that I can now offer courses, 2-day courses currently, to initiate people to become blessing givers so that they can then share Deeksha or the Oneness Blessing. And the format is always changing. Everyone teaches it a little bit differently because we teach from our life experience, but we do a beautiful initiation ceremony that initiates people to become blessing givers. And just going through that process itself has been life-changing for many, many people.
All right then. And you also have you mentioned a weekly sharing.
Yes.
Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, one of the things, I use Deeksha in my private practice when I see my energy work clients, and another way of using it is in group settings. It's very powerful, like any kind of energy healing work. When there are several people gathered, the energy exponentially increases. So we have several, now twice weekly gatherings in our home where we have many blessing givers, often 10 to 15 blessing givers in the gathering, all of us sharing Deeksha with each other and with whoever else comes to receive. So it's a very powerful and beautiful experience.
All right. And if someone were coming for the first time, is there any preparation they need, or any special, don't eat anything or eat this or that, anything like that?
That's a good question. I would say just simply an open mind is the best thing. Open mind, open heart, as few expectations as possible, because of course it's different for everyone. What I've been talking about is my own experience with it, and everyone experiences it differently. So, for example, some people find that they sleep extremely well after receiving Deeksha, and other people, they find that they are up later than usual with more energy and lots of creativity flowing. So it's good to have no expectations and just see what happens for you.
Okay. And if someone comes to one of these weekly events and receives 6 or 7 or even more blessings, does it help to just go right out and drive away afterwards?
That's a good question too. No, it's not a great idea to drive. You can get very altered from receiving several blessings. And one of the things that we do is always help people to get grounded afterwards. We always have time to rest afterwards, and then help people to get grounded so that they are back in their bodies, that they are aware of where they are, they're very present and ready to drive. I don't recommend that people, ideally don't have to go back to work right afterwards or go back into, big shopping mall or something like that, because it can be kind of disorienting after being in such a blissful state.
So in other words, when a person receives a blessing, it takes a little while for it to fully integrate into their bodies.
Yes, it does.
And then...
Yeah, that's true, and it's also cumulative. So that what I often recommend is that people, after they receive the blessing for the first time, whether it's in a one-to-one situation with me or if they're in a group setting, that they simply notice over the next few days what changes they might see. It could be, a lot of people find that they start to perceive things differently. They just see the world differently. Things that used to bother them no longer, they just don't find them to be a problem anymore. So just noticing, watching your dreams, watching your relationships with people, watching how you interact with people, watching your physical body. Deeksha, like many things, can help healing on all levels: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. So simply noticing for yourself what changes you see over a period of a few days or a week, which is what I tell my individual clients as well, to just watch.
Okay. Now, can you combine Deeksha with other modalities such as Reiki?
Yes, that's in my private sessions. That is what I do. I generally spend quite a bit of time before we do energy work. I spend sitting and talking with people. I hear what's going on with them in the whole, in a very holistic way in their lives, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, so that I have the full picture. And that conversation is a big part of the work. I'm doing energy work while I'm in conversation with someone. Then I generally do my sessions, I always, once they're on the table, I start with Deeksha. So I always begin and end every session with Deeksha, or the Oneness Blessing. And then I combine it with Reiki and Karuna Reiki and craniosacral work and aromatherapy. So it's a unique blend, I think, and it seems to work very well to help people shift and transform and open their hearts and really fully align with who they are and where they are, where their soul is calling them.
Interesting. You mentioned that it can be applied by intention at a distance.
Yes.
Can you talk to us a little bit about that, or maybe any anecdotes from times you've done that?
Absolutely. It can be sent by distance, and what that means is it can be sent when we have a gathering. For example, some people will sit and give Deeksha by intent, so they're filling the room with the divine grace of the Oneness Blessing and everyone in it. We also have a prayer book, so we can write people write their names or loved ones' names in our book, and several of us will give Deeksha to the people in the book just through having their names written there. And we've heard some amazing stories of healings happening, physical healings. I've seen it in my own family members, people who are going through really difficult emotional time, when I send them Deeksha by intent. So that can mean looking at a photograph of them. I also use it on Skype. So Skyping with someone, I can be having a conversation and sending them Deeksha through the computer or over the phone, and it's extremely powerful in that way as well.
Interesting. And Reiki and Karuna and other things can be sent at a distance as well.
Of course, yes.
And
Absolutely.
also in the distance mode combined with the Deeksha for even more powerful effects.
Exactly. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So do you have any special projects coming up or anything else that you'd like to talk to us about?
Yeah. One of my favorite things is that my partner and I do a healing retreat in Hawaii on the island of Molokai.
Wow.
And we do it twice a year. The next one coming up is a 5-day retreat in January. So generally we do a winter and a summer one. And we are right on the beach in one of the most beautiful places on the planet that I've been to, with amazing energy. And we right now we do include initiations for people to become blessing givers as part of that healing retreat. At times we also do Reiki initiations as part of the healing retreat, and it's always a very deeply healing process for people, where we do sharing. We work with tarot and dreams and meditation and lots of Deeksha. So it's a beautiful event with amazing people.
Well, that's great. And you mentioned guided meditations.
Yes.
Can you talk to us about where that fits into, say, a group evening?
Well, when we do Deeksha as a group event, we always, people come from, their busy days generally, and as a way to help people become fully present and to become, to help them to open their minds and open their hearts and relax their bodies. Generally I do a guided meditation, 5 to 10 minutes, to help people just become fully open to receiving the energies. And I think that most people find that very helpful as a way to shift out of their ordinary lives and their ordinary state of awareness into a much different presence.
Great. And is there anything else you'd like to tell our audience about Deeksha or about yourself?
I think one of the things to know about Deeksha is that it is here on this planet right now to help all of us, to really assist humanity in this time of amazing opportunity that we're in, this time of transformation that we as individuals and that we as a collective and our entire planet are already involved in, and that it is here to assist us, to help us move gracefully into this great awakening, this time of awakening that we have in front of us.
That's very exciting. Well, thank you very much. This is Reiki Man with Lucia Maya. Thank you again.